Leeann, thanks for joining us for your first QPTV interview. You've been at the club since the start of the year, having held previous roles at Motherwell and Hibs. It's safe to say it was a bit of an eye-opener for some supporters. You joined Queen's Park. What was the main attraction to the club, and what made you think that this was the right role for you next?
It's interesting that I'd been watching what Queen's Park had been doing over the last sort of 12 months, mostly since it went from amateur to professional. And if I'm honest, I think a single word probably sums it up for me, and that's just potential. I think many clubs in Scotland over the years oftentimes have sat on the cusp of success, but for one reason or another, they've just not managed to make it work. I think moving from amateur to professional has really pushed Queen's Park in the centre of that. And let's be honest, what could be more attractive to a chief exec like me, so somebody who really likes to rebuild and reimagine things, coming to a club like Queen's Park. I think ambitions can only really be limited by the decisions you make and the determination. And I hope, anyway, I plan to make some good decisions, and I'm pretty determined.
You've obviously had the chance to get your feet under the table, so to speak, albeit from home. What have your first impressions of the club been, and how have you found those first few months?
I think the biggest thing that struck me, really, in honesty, although the club had turned professional last year, it had geared up in parts of the club. I suppose you would say, namely, the kind of first team and the first team management, but in honesty, nowhere else. So that needs attention. And if you want to improve the team, then it's the whole team. It's not just what's on the pitch. So you'll start to see in the coming weeks and months some tactical appointments in key areas of football and also non-football. And frankly, I believe we won't be successful otherwise. So I would say that's, I think we went professional, and there was a lot of stresses and strains put on the club and the people at the club who were operating still at quite a where they were when the club was amateur, and we need to help them. We can't expect them to kind of pick everything up.
We got the news last week, the welcome news, that the return of football's on the horizon. What have the main challenges been for the club and getting to this stage?
I think it's mostly around just keeping the players in good health and good fitness, the staff as well, in terms of just keeping them motivated and focused about coming back. Just generally try to keep the morale of the club up, because there's been points it's looked as though it's been possible that we might not return, and that would be 2 years that we've not finished the league, and that would have been really difficult for us. But I'm fully expecting, famous last words, but I'm fully expecting to get a fixtures list this weekend. There's been some brilliant interactions at the club. There's some, as I said earlier, some brilliant people who have really gone above and beyond, not just to make me welcome, but to make sure that what we've had to do in lockdown, and some of the changes I've asked them to do, some of the changes I've asked them to make, they've done sort of willingly, and hopefully I've been able to show that some of that was needed. So lockdown's helped us, I think, just get to know each other a bit better.
And one of the issues that certainly fans are keen to hear on is the redevelopment of Lesser Hampden. How much are you able to tell us about what's happening there just now?
In truth, not too much. It's stalled at the moment, and I'll be honest and say, for legal reasons, I can't say much more than that, but we will soon enough. So as soon as we can, supporters will hear it first from us.
And just on that same issue, obviously, with the return to football on the horizon, where can supporters expect us to be playing our home games? Has that been finalised yet, certainly for the rest of this season?
We've got a preferred option, a couple of options actually, but we've got a preferred option. I'm going to go and do a visit on Monday. I think I've got broad agreement on the use of the stadium, but again, before I confirm it, I want to just make sure I've dotted the I's and crossed the T's on it. We've got the agreement in place, but should be able to sort of make that out, make that everybody aware of that sort of Monday, Tuesday. Obviously, it's important, so we need to get moving on that and get something agreed.
And on another note, the club recently advertised the position of the Charitable Trust Director. How much can you tell us about that role and the impact you expect to have that on the club?
Yeah, you're going to hear an awful lot more from me and from the club about the new foundation. In terms of that role, I'm looking for a really senior person to lead on this. I won't be glib when I say this. It's almost one of the most important roles I think I'll fill at the club in the next 5 years or so. I think the contribution of this individual and their vision will help us kind of build the club the way that certainly I would like to see it, and others hope would want to see it as well. Two strands really for me. Nothing really changes. I felt very passionate about this when I was at Motherwell and at Hibernian, and at both clubs we delivered a kind of one football, one community message. I don't see us particularly deviating from that. Lots of success, and we want to supersize it as much as we can, and I think we can because of where we are. So, and because of the kind of history of the club, and it's sort of rooted in its community in a really, I think, in a proper way, but also in a really exciting way. I think our goal is always going to be to use the power and really that passion point of football to help transform people's lives who live locally around us, but hopefully all through Glasgow, and help people to be more involved, be healthier, hopefully, and be much more active and empowered members of the community. So that part of the club for me is going to fuel a lot of what we do in the kind of larger club going forward. That will help us create a supporter base for the years and years to come. And I think it's important that football, as you've seen through COVID and everything else, you know, football's been a massive part of people's lives. It's one of the first things that Scottish Government prioritised to come back, and the reason for that, pure and simple, is because it's a real passion point. And I want to use that passion in a way that just helps or continues to help change people's lives. So I'm really delighted with that part, actually.
Leann, thank you very much for joining us.
You're very welcome. Happy to chat again. Looking forward to it.